Hi, everyone. My name is Sean Cotter. I am the executive director for Wicked Queer, Boston's LGBTQ film festival, and I'm joined with programmer Sophia Wickenhauser, sorry, and Gustavo Vinegre Alvarez, who is the director of Three Tidy Tigers, Tied a Tie Tighter. Which we're super excited to bring to the US and its US premiere. So welcome both Sophia and Gustavo, hailing from a very warm São Paulo, Brazil. I guess the first thing I want to ask you, Gustavo, is how did you, I mean, your film is a wonderful sort of like I want to call it like a road movie, even though you're really not on a road, because it is sort of like this adventure throughout it, and I really kind of love that. So how did you sort of come up with the sort of concept for the film?
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sophia. It's great to be here. The film was actually born in 2016, the year where our president suffered a coup d'etat here in Brazil. And it was actually just, the idea came up as these three characters. I mean, first of all, I created the three characters. And in this first draft of the script, they wouldn't ever meet throughout the film, just in the end. They were each one in their conflicts through the city, and at the end they would reunite. And then the script changed a lot throughout the years, because then I decided, because I wanted to do a really small film with no money, and then there was this funding open. And then like I changed the script a lot, made it bigger. It turned into a musical, and because we needed like to reach a number of pages to get into the funding, and then we got the funding, and this funding doesn't exist anymore. It was like the last breath of culture in Brazil. Then Bolsonaro killed everything. And then we were about to shoot in 2020 in March, and then came the pandemics, and then like the script changed again a lot, because I decided to include the pandemic, because it made no sense to me like to make a film in the pandemic that was like pretending to be in a normal world. And so we were really impacted with the pandemic, because we had to spend our budget with the safety protocols. So that made, again, the film smaller, and the story really changed a lot. I created this thing with the memory, like this pandemic where people loses their memories, and it felt like right that they were like together and not separated as in the first draft, like they were them like living this bigger situation that it's common to everybody. And then we were like waiting and waiting to shoot, because we never knew when it was possible to start shooting, and we wanted to wait till the most to get the vaccine and start shooting, because like we were seeing that were people shooting here in Brazil when everybody got infected and they couldn't finish the film. And it was a bit dramatic, because our film agency was completely frozen by Bolsonaro, and they wouldn't answer our emails, and we were asking for more time to do it, and they were just like, no answer, like, or you do the film in the right time or you give the money back. So luckily, when we had no more deadline, the vaccination started, and throughout the shooting, everybody in our crew got vaccinated and nobody got infected.
It was great. That's great to hear. I think that it's really kind of clever too that you use the sort of the pandemic in the film as the sort of amnesiac, like sort of this forgetfulness. Like I think that I wish that the real pandemic was that as well, because I feel like people really kind of want to like sort of journey back into how it was before. And obviously for a lot of us, especially as queer folks, before wasn't any cup of tea or any party, for the most part. So tell me a little bit about like what your process was in sort of like thinking about sort of adding that pandemic in as a sort of like a plot device.
And also like the relationship of that with the thrift store, which is like it has a character who touches objects and has memories of the people who own the objects. And it's really interesting how you do the parallel between the people who are forgetting things and the one who is remembering things. Really interested in how you reach that that scene, that place that you have in the movie.
Okay. To me, this thing about forgetfulness, it has a lot to do like with there is like this phrase that we use in Brazil, especially in electoral years like this year right now, like that Brazilians have no memory, that they vote for people who steal from them in the past, things like that. Mm-hmm. And this country was built under lots of violence. I mean, we were like a colony that killed like most of our indigenous people, and that we were like the biggest slavery country ever. And so it was built under a lot of violence. And I think there are lots of stories that remain underneath and hidden, and that are forgotten lots of time. And so I just wanted to play with that idea of a country who is like forgetting things, while these young people are just like drifting through the city and finding some of these hidden stories, like Liberdade Square, which was like a place where they used to kill people, and now it's like sold to everybody as the Japanese neighborhood. And so like they are like discovering part of this hidden stories. And I think the film also has like tries to have a kind of look to capitalism and ecology also, in a way, when we show like the river at the end, which is like a really polluted river and really known for being like a dead river here in São Paulo, which is actually a city full of rivers, but they are all underneath the concrete. Like São Paulo could be like a really beautiful city, but all the rivers are hidden also. And so I think the objects come as like trying to look at the importance of physicality, of material things, like giving back value to stuff, you know, and how things should have an importance in this world also, not only being like things to be bought and throw away after they break, or just replacing things. It's like trying to see like the importance of material in this world. Like this world is ending, and I mean, things are part of this, and things are built with things that come from nature. And I mean, so things should be important also. I think it's a little bit about that.
interesting. I'm really interested in knowing how you gather all these actors together, because there's like so many and they have this synergy that really feels like they're a family. I see some familiar faces like Guida Namase, which is like an actress that we see a lot in films right now, in Brazilian films. And I just want to know, like, what was the casting process like during the pandemic? I mean, I imagine everything was made of like not physically, and I imagine that can be like really bizarre to do a casting process. We're not in the room with the actor, and how you manage to get like everyone to be so, you know, united, like so in the same vibe all the time.
Well, actually, the three main characters, the young actors, we chose them before the pandemic, like almost 1 year before the date that we were supposed to start shooting. I did that with the help of Nash Laila, who is who prepared them with me, and with the help of Tainá, who wrote the script with me also. And we basically, I wanted people, I don't know, we started looking for actors on Instagram, and like people who we could relate in a way with their energy and with the things that they were like posting, not only with their faces and their looks. So we found the three of them like that. Pedro and Jonathan were actors already. They were like, Pedro is like finishing right now, studying acting, and Jonathan was already an actor. And like we interviewed them, not only them, but lots of people that we thought, yeah, we could connect. And then we interviewed them and asked for a small self-tape, because most of them, I mean, Jonathan was in Minas Gerais in another state, and Isabella was in Porto Alegre, another state. Isabella was the only one who was an actress, and I knew that it would be hard to find a trans girl that was an actress, because in Brazil, they have like less opportunity to get studies or everything. So I just started looking for trans girls that would in a way feel like they would want to act. And then we interviewed Isabella also. We asked for her for a tape, and she was like amazing, and we loved her. And then like for 1 year before March 2020, the four of us, we were just like watching movies together on, like we would reunite and on internet even before the pandemic, because they were each one in a city, and we would see films together and debate it, like films that had to do with the film, and films that had nothing to do with the film also, like my previous films, what they thought about it. And it was like an intense year of exchange with them. And then came the pandemic, and we kept like doing a little bit of that. And the rest of the characters, the actors, were actors that much more experienced, and that I had worked with most of them before in my previous films. And so we were already really like friends. And then in the pandemics, while we were getting closer to the shooting, Nash, which is the cast, would help me with preparing the actors. We started like meeting them on internet and doing like readings and just like improvisations also with them, and the three of them. And sometimes we would call one of the other actors, the more experienced actors, and then we would just make exercises for them to feel comfortable with each other, because we wouldn't have much time to do that because we were trying to like not to be together. So once in the set, we wanted them just to feel comfortable, like looking in the eyes through internet, making small scenes, and just like trying to feel comfortable. For example, Pedro and Everaldo Pontes, who plays Omar, which is the older guy, they like did lots of improvisations, like just looking and showing off their bodies and trying to feel comfortable with one another. And it was cool, actually. I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, we have the technology, and it helped us a lot to build that sense of familiarity. Yes.
I kind of want to ask you to jump in and kind of to circle back to something that you said. So what movies did you guys watch together? Like, is that like, for me, like your film is a very distinctive, has a very distinctive vision. And I want to know who you're sort of influenced by, and kind of what films did you sort of, what were you in your sort of mood board, we'll say, to sort of put this film together?
Okay. Well, yeah, despite of watching like my other films, which are really explicit and deal with sex and porn and
we love that. Sorry.
yeah. And I was like just showing them, they are so young, showing them like, look, and they were like, oh my God, but this film is not gonna be like that, so be comfortable. So it was kind of a way to show them that they could be in a much harder film and that this was easy. So you're not gonna do that.
break them in.
Yeah. But I mean, I wanted this film to have like a really naive feeling to it, almost childish like feeling that I had experience with some films. So I brought these films for us just to try to reach like that innocent feeling, even that these films are really different from each other aesthetically. I didn't bring these films because of their aesthetics, because they are really different and from each other, but I brought them because of this feeling that I wanted to reach in the film. So the films are House, which is a Japanese film. I forgot the name of the director right now. And also Tampopo, which is another Japanese film from the 80s. And Harold and Maude, which is a film I love, and I think it has like that feeling of a childish like feeling.
Yeah,
and a Brazilian film called Dança dos Bonecos, also, that was a film that I watched a lot in my childhood, and which is about like these talking dolls that they take a potion and they start they have life suddenly. And yeah, and these are films that deal with like really heavy stuff in their own way, but at the same time they feel like really light in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I have to definitely say, once you mentioned Tampopo, the director is like Juzo Itami, and I was thinking about one of his other films when I was watching it too, which is Supermarket Woman, which if you haven't seen it, I would totally recommend it. It has this sort of like wondrousness to it that I feel like your film really kind of captures, and it is sort of like a childlike naive, almost naiveness, but there is something kind of grounded about your characters too, that they seem a little they're grounded in today, and that's sort of echoes that of what Itami in Tampopo and also Supermarket Woman, his lead characters are, they look at life with a lot of wonder, but they are also grounded in the sort of the moment of what's going on too, which I think is kind of nice. And I love that you reference Hasuo as well, because the fantasticalness of your film also kind of echoes House as well. House is one of my favorite films because of that sort of it's like over the top. It's so over the top.
Yeah, it's,
But also like the storytelling is so like you immediately get sucked in, which I feel in your film as well. You really kind of bring the viewer in from the beginning, with sort of how the story unfolds. You know, you're in this kind of like closed up, and you sort of see the sort of like um encapsulation of the characters too, with the kind of like how we all were sort of sheltered and stuff like that. The interior spaces feel very kind of closed, and when you kind of go outside, it's a lot, you see that sort of like not quite freedom, because I don't feel like there's ever really a sense of true freedom in your film, because everyone is sort of in this kind of contained in this world, but you definitely see a little bit an opening.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just wanted also to portray the pandemic a little bit as I felt like that were people dealing in different ways in different stages, so that you can see like the world also, like the fiction here, but there is a kind of documentary going on around them, and you see people that are wearing masks, people that aren't, people that don't care, people having sun in a square. And so I just wanted to like deal with the pandemic in a way that in the real world, like I felt people dealt like in different ways, and some of us some of us are scared, some of us aren't and don't care, and I just wanted to bring that to the film.
Gustavo, it feels like the film is a very strong political statement. It feels like the film is it's already like um, just like just by existing, it's making a political statement, an act of rebellion in a way, especially in our current government. It feels like um, I wonder how you will distribute the film here in Brazil. Like, what are you thinking of approaching this? And do you think Ancine, or governmental, for those who don't know, our governmental institution that regulates film releases, do you think they will push back or try to censor you, or what are you thinking right now? Because I really wanted people to see your film, you know. Um,
Actually, the fund we won, it was a fund through distribution. So that was since the beginning a distribution company we needed to have since the beginning to win that funding. So we have that. I don't know when it's actually gonna happen, because also like we had the money to do the film, but we need money to distributing. So right now it seems that they are starting to reopen some fundings, so luckily we can like try any of that. And but yeah, the movie has to be distributed anyway, so it's gonna happen someday, I think maybe in a year or so, because right now we're just going through festivals. And actually sometimes they try like 2 years ago, there was like this great scandal that Bolsonaro said, oh my God, they are only doing films about trans people and hookers, we have to stop it, whatever. And but I think actually they don't really care. I mean, they know that they already killed everything. And I mean, it's not important for them because our cinema has like a great problem with distribution. So, and with access, because it's so expensive to go to the cinema, and our people are like, most of them are starving. So they know that our cinema is like, doesn't have lots of space to really communicate with people and make a difference. So that's even sadder. I think they don't care because of that. Yeah.
And it's
Unfortunately, that makes sense. Yeah.
well, it wouldn't, I mean, how, because that's kind of like a curious sort of like point too of like the distribution. Now, and your film is a little maybe too risque for television. And we wouldn't want to get it censored too. So I mean, it's a shame that going to the cinemas is so inaccessible for so many people, to get the film out. I didn't even think about that at all. It's getting that way here too. um, but yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to kind of jump in there, but go ahead, Sophie.
Not at all, not at all. So lastly, I wanted to ask you about your next project because I have watched some of your films. They have a wonderful filmography. I think the one that I liked the most was the blue
Flower.
the blue flower of, yeah, exactly.
I
I
love
have a
that
hard
one
time
too.
remembering English. Yeah, you watched that one, didn't you, Sean, as well?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I wonder, like, what is your next project gonna be like, and like if you can share that with us right now, because we are really excited to have you again next year.
Yes, I'd love that. Well, actually, I have some projects that I've been trying to finance. Like I always have like lots of projects, like smaller projects that I just want to do like really fast and put it in the world, and there are like bigger projects that I know that they are gonna cost more, and then I will need financing. And so I always have like two types of projects because I want to keep doing things, but I also want to try new things that need more money. So actually I have like a horror film that is called Bloody Easter, uh, that I really want to do. And we are just like trying to finance it right now. And there's also like smaller projects. But that's basically right now, Bloody Easter. I'd love to do that film.
That's kind of amazing. Please send it our way when it's done. So yeah, I guess we can kind of wrap this up. It's been really a pleasure sitting down with you, Gustavo, and thank you, Sophia, for joining us. Check out Three Tidy Tigers Tied a Tie Tighter, which is playing at the Bridal Cinema on Friday at 7 p.m. Please don't miss it. I mean, it's kind of a fantastical journey. So, join us for that. And we're looking forward to seeing what's next from you, Gustavo. So thank you
Thank
also
you,
for,
Gustavo.
yeah, and thank you for joining us on this kind of like, it's a gray morning in Boston, but a sunny morning in Sao Paulo. And I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.